Hello. It's 5D Transformations. And in this video, I want to talk about MBTI, and I wanted to begin comparing different personality types. I haven't seen a lot of these videos out there lately. I used to love these kind of videos early on in my days of learning MBTI and the different personality types. So starting off, we're going to start with ESTPs versus ISTPs, which is kind of unique because I noticed not that many ESTPs or ISTPs, they rank on the lower end of people that watch these kind of videos on MBTI, but I'll do it anyways. So just some quick things. ESTPs, ISTPs. One thing you'll notice about ESTPs is that compared to ISTPs, they generally are more friendly. They're generally much more communicative. ESTPs still have a quiet side to them, but at the same time, they tend to like to socialize. They like to be around people because they have that extroverted feeling as their third function, and that extroverted sensing is their first function. So they like to be stimulated by people. They like to be around people that can seem like family. They are actually a lot friendlier than people would know. ESTPs are very friendly. They're very friendly, and they're actually very socially intelligent to a degree. Sometimes they can trust a little bit too much, from my experience, or they can come off very abrasive at times. But in general, they're very loving, very friendly, and a lot of people like them. ISTPs, on the other hand, are a little more antisocial. ISTPs generally are very friendly for the most part, and they're nice. They're not mean people. They still have that FE in the fourth slot, so they are looking to make sure that they're not disturbing the environment. They stay to themselves, but they are a little bit less social compared to an ESTP. And in some cases, very much less social than an ESTP. So that's that. Now, in terms of some of the things that they have similar, they both are strong-minded. They both have introverted thinking. So, they follow their own path. They very much are in their own world. One thing that you'll notice about the two of them, they're very motivated, very sensory. They have a lot of ability in the sensory. They generally are well respected the way they carry themselves. ISTPs very much so. They carry themselves in a very bad boy way. Both types have a bad boy, bad girl energy. They come off very rough and rugged, and that can be very attractive to a lot of people. So they generally have a certain attractive qualities about them. Both types. They both they both are very easygoing, actually. They can come off antisocial, but they're very easygoing types. Both, are very motivated. They want to achieve, they want to accomplish things for both types. And then when you look at both types in general, they generally are both hands-on, very utilitarian, hands-on types. They like to do it themselves. They generally don't mind building things out or working with their hands. They tend to be very good athletes. Anything that requires hand-eye coordination, quick decisions, physical contact with things, both types would be very good at it. And aside from that, I would just say they both are definitely have an energy where they both like to break the rules a little bit. They naturally have that desire to kind of break the rules. They are very logical types, so they will try to fit within the system well. But because of that introverted thinking being so dominant in both of them, whatever they want to do, they're going to do. It's going to be very hard to stop them from whatever they set their mind on if they want to do it. So that in that case, you could say stubborn, you could say strong-minded, but that's a quality that they have. And they have a lot of willpower. It's hard to get in their way if they really set their mind on something. And they are very creative and talented. They're not super creative when it comes to just like in an introverted feeling type of creative way, but they are interested in creativity. They generally have one or two creative things that they have as a hobby. So because it keeps them stimulated and it keeps them present and it allows them to use their mind and to think on how to do things, so that's something that they're really good at. Natural problem solvers, solve puzzles, things like that, especially for ISTPs. That's what you get. Now, for differences, the first one to begin with, extroverted sensors are a lot more social ESTPs are a lot more social than ISTPs, mainly because they're extroverted, so that's the difference. ESTPs get stimulated by having company. And a lot of the time they can actually think better around company. Or a lot of the time they just like to be around company and then they'll think later, but it's a good way for them to relax. ISTPs more so are relaxed, just being able to think on their own, Aside from that, another big difference is I think ESTPs generally are going to be wanting to take shortcuts more than ISTPs, because ESTPs have that extroverted feeling and extroverted sensing that just wants to be stimulated. Now, they have a strong ability to think with introverted thinking, but the introverted intuition for them is last, so it's kind of like harder for them to lock in, or they'll lock in on one thing at a time. I think ISTPs, they more so are going to be your builders. When you think of the engineer archetype, or the archetype that will sit there until they solve something to the end, that's going to be more so your ISTPs that are going to be doing that. As I mentioned, ESTPs are generally more friendly than ISTPs. I want to give some examples of both. I'm going to start doing that, where I can kind of show you how they both kind of come off. To give you an idea, I'll give you a few examples. Like an ISTP archetype, I'm gonna try to give a few. The guy off of Shameless that plays the oldest brother. I don't know, for whoever watches the show Shameless, the older brother, that's kind of like the oldest brother, he definitely has an ISTP energy, completely. He's kind of a bad boy, kind of doesn't care, he can, he's kind of on his own path. If you think of musicians, I'm thinking of an artist, DaBaby. I don't know if you all know the artist DaBaby. He's an ISTP. You could tell ISTPs, like they're not the super friendliest, but they're not mean, but they're kind of just like, you could see that they're not focused on being really friendly. That's not really the thing, but they're kind of on their own path. If I had to think of some more ISTPs, Kobe Bryant was an ISTP. As you can see, he wasn't the friendliest with everybody, but he was still very smart and very purposeful in his communication. So those are kind of like 3 ISTPs for you to look at. In terms of ESTPs, the rapper 50 Cent is an ESTP. You can see he has ISTP qualities where he doesn't come off the friendliest, but you can see he very much has that social friendly side. And that's something you could pay attention to in terms of how friendly he is and what he can do. There's different flavors of different personality types, but he's an example of an ESTP. Let me see who else would be ESTP that's well known. Let me see if I can think of some. It's a lot of ESTPs out there. Your adventurers, a lot of them are really good at acting. So, you'd be surprised. A lot of them are very good at acting, and I'll put in the notes, or I'll do a video where I do comparisons for that. But just to give you an idea with ESTPs, a lot of your rock stars, you can kind of imagine with that personality type. They naturally they are drawn toward danger. They're drawn toward situations that challenge them, and they get a thrill from that, from surviving situations that most people would fold in. And that's kind of a big difference. I think ISTPs are a little bit more of the quiet. They do the dirty work quietly. The ESTPs are going to be more so having a group, moving with people, things like that. But, those kind of the differences you can see. You'll probably notice in the people if you take some of these examples, you'll notice the difference between the types of people you notice. They both speak very plainly, plain language. They're not really super airy, going to a bunch of ideas. That's not their thing. What they say, they mean, what they mean, they say, which is why they can come off not as the friendliest all the time. It's not because they're not friendly, but just how they communicate. But generally, if you'll notice, ESTPs will be warmer and more friendlier than ISTPs on the front end. That's something you'll notice. So with that being said, I don't want to go too long. I'm gonna do some more videos on that. But that's the ESTP versus the ISTP. Hope you enjoyed, and make sure to like and subscribe. I got a bunch of MBTI videos on the way. So thank you all for listening, and we'll talk soon. Peace.